Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday. So I'm hoping you guys can hear me okay. As you guys can tell, I am not home. I'm also not using what I normally do to record. So we're going directly from the phone because yesterday I tried to do a live reading of live chat and TikTok with Jamie, and that failed miserably. So now we're going straight to let's go to the phone. Let's see if I have a better signal. Because for the next month and a half, almost two, I'm going to be on the road. So I still said we're gonna commit to 26 weeks of not I said 26 weeks, all year long of doing live readings, which means we gotta have to figure out a way to do this. So here's the part. We're going live from this hotel. I'm actually down in Killeen, Texas, which I've never been. You would think as prior military somehow I would have stopped by here. I have not. So it's been kind of fun. I got to check out a new bookstore in this town, which was super cute. So for anybody who is in Killeen, you need to check out, I think Stain Pages is what it's called, which is really cute. It is actually a romance bookstore. So for a non-romance author, I was super excited just to come and check it out what they have. They have a really fun collection. And they've only been open since literally January. So the bookstore is super new. So yes, you are now late, dear. I should start it, so you are good to go. So we're trying to get set up. So because I'm at this hotel and my lighting is awful, I need to start bringing the rest of my equipment with me so I can kind of get prepared. Because right now I'm using the hotel light and I feel like I'm under interrogation. Like I feel like I happen to step into like some horrible B movie. There's this light over my head. So there's all sorts of things going on here. I'm like, huh, this is interesting. So hopefully you guys are doing amazing. Let me know in the comments how you guys are doing. How's your week? It's been super fast. I know we say this as we get older, time feels like it moves faster than we can imagine. But I honestly feel like we just hung out together not that long ago. So here we are. So we're going to do chapter two and Cursed by Fire. The goal today is not to look like I ran a mile and completely lose all composure of myself, which is pretty impressed. You guys appreciated. Didn't think I looked too bad during it, even though I had sweat running all down my face. Because let's be honest, while I can write spice, reading it out loud was a whole different adventure. So we're gonna do chapter two, because now I need to introduce you to the rest of the cast. Who else is in this group? What else are they doing? And hopefully I can say this, rate this without changing colors too much. Because listen, my interrogation lamp is not going to let me look pretty today. So this is what we're going to do. So welcome everybody. This is officially questionable. Just one chapter experiment. We're going to see if I can convince you to pick up Cursed by Fur just by the chapter that I read. That's the catch. So we're going to try it on because I happen to be at a hotel. Today we're going with juice. So whatever you're drinking, stay hydrated. This is kind of one of those fun things. So we're doing choose for the day, primarily because I'm not home. So we're making the best out of everything. So this is what we're going to be doing. So get comfortable, my friends. Enjoy. And let's see what we have. You got some headphones? That is pretty awesome. I think I need to get headphones. We're going to be doing this from the phone. We might need to figure out what I need to invest in this because wasn't sure my headphones were going to pick it up. So I can hear everything in this room. So I'm trying to make the most of it. So enjoy, get comfortable. Do enjoy my For the Homies t-shirt in honor of my amazing kitty cat. Since we're doing Cursed by Fur and it is a serial killer mystery, so we're going to embrace all the things. So welcome to another book reading and let's get started. Cursed by Fur, we're doing chapter two. Let's get going. Chapter two. Bob took a sip of his coffee before stepping out of his truck. It was not a good sign when he got a call from the local police at 11:30 at night on a Saturday, especially so close to Halloween. Just another routine call, Bob told himself. But something in his gut told him otherwise. Too many strange things had been going on in Haven over the past couple of months. He had been desk intern in North America for close to 4 years, a record according to Constantine. At this point in time, he couldn't ignore his gut. It kept him and the team alive on multiple occasions. It was also his intuition that had pushed him adding undercover team members to the local police officers in the area. After Eric left to join the Order of Witches, they had lost a tremendous asset of the force. So quick note for everybody. We got Last chapter introduced you to Nikita, who happened to be a serial killer. Not the best little Red Rider, let's just put that there. So chapter 2 is going to introduce you to the team. So if you guys are, this is, by the way, a standalone novel. It still takes place in the Reapers universe. You don't have to pick up the rest of the story, but at least you're introduced to some of the characters. So here we go. Let's see what you guys think. Bob took another sip before glancing in the rearview mirror of the truck. His sandy blonde hair was cut short and a military high and tied. His eyes were taking on a gray, a gray color. With the arrival of Des Reapers back on Earth, something was happening to all the interns. He wasn't sure how, but he stopped aging. If anything, he was feeling younger each day. It was the gift that came with being Des intern, but he doubted. Interns had a tendency to die fast. But wondered if Isis and Bartholomew, the newly made Reapers, had something to do with it. You don't have all day to philosophize on the meaning of life, Bob reminded himself. It was on a rare occasion that he had time alone to think. They were short on staff this evening. Time to run a city. So Haven is the supernatural community that takes place in the Reapers universe. For anybody who's curious, it's also located in Texarkana, Texas. Why not? So this is where he's actually coming to. So it is urban fantasy, and this is where we're at. So giving you a little bit more context if you guys are curious, he is in Texarkana, and this is where Bob is. So here we go. He climbed out of the truck and adjusted his leather vest. The black vest with little skulls and stencil on it was a gift from the Union Station crew. They call it his uniform. For the last few years, Bob had dressed similarly every day. Dress khakis, button-down shirt, and a vest. The outfit was comfortable, yet presentable, without looking stuffy. It also gave him plenty of places to conceal his weapons in sky. After too many close calls, he agreed to carry the official weapon of Death interns, a silver sky. Ensuring his pants were over his steel-toe boots, he headed towards the back of Kings Park. An officer in his mid-20s with a caramel complexion and short black hair marched briskly to meet him. Bob inspected the young man, recalling when he hired him. He was a witch originally from New England, but had moved to Haven after the military. The man was efficient and needed little training. Bob was pleased when he agreed to work in the human police force as his informant. Boss? The officer said in a low voice as soon as he reached him. Sorry to call you late, but you said any weird cases to call you directly. You did the right thing. What do we have, Miguel? Officer Miguel Rodriguez turned on his heel, and Bob followed. The two were about the same height, close to 6 feet 3 inches, with long strides. They crossed the park at a rapid pace. Male shifter, in his early 20s, and apparent in good health. Dead with a heart on. Miguel laid out the facts. What? Bob stopped, and the officer turned to stare at him. That's exactly what I thought, the officer replied. He doesn't have any wounds or marks on him. Shifters are hard to kill. They reached the crime scene, and Bob stared at the dead man. Nobody has moved him? Bob asked, walking around the corpse. Not that I'm aware, Miguel replied. I was doing my rounds around town and saw the Harley in the parking lot. The park closes at 10, so I inspected and found him like this. Heart attack? I'm not sure. Bob bent down for a closer look. I don't know much about heart attacks, but I will assume most victims will clutch their chests and not their package. Miguel rubbed his neck and shook his head. Call the station. We'll have the team send us the paramedics, Bob said. We need to get this body out of here before anyone else decides to stop by for a midnight stroll. On it. Miguel pulled his cell phone out. Bob took his phone out to photograph the scene. He didn't want to touch anything before taking all his photos. Why are you here alone? Bob asked the corpse, but stopped to examine the park. Are you still here? One of his duties as death intern was to help lost souls transition to their next destinations. If a soul was lost, he would have felt their presence. At times, the interns, and of course, their two reapers, were the only ones that could see the souls of the departed. They could even touch them. At first, that gift made life very difficult for Bob, since he struggled to distinguish between the living and the dead. It took him a few years to recognize the auras of the living compared to the glow of the dead. He's gone. The musical voice of death came from behind him. Hi, boss, Bob replied without looking back. He finished taking his photos before facing the horseman. But Bob had learned from experience talking with death It was easy to forget your tasks when they appeared. At this time, he needed to get photos done before his squad came in and trampled the whole thing. I'm almost done, Bob added, walking the scene clockwise. No rush, said Death, walking the opposite direction. Did you see anything? Or can you tell me? Bob knew Death was picking the information they shared. The focus for Death and her interns was the souls. Bob was a unique situation. When Isis, his predecessor, and then now Death's top reaper, stayed in Texarkana, the area became a haven, the only supernatural community in the world. The other interns were probably too smart to pick up that responsibility. When Bob took over, the responsibility sheriff and protector came with a job. He didn't suffer, Death finally said, standing next to Bob facing the body. That's a relief, Bob added. Maybe. Death looked at the body. He was confused, like not sure what happened or why. He kept looking around for someone, then gave up once he realized he was dead. He moved on. Bob turned his face to his boss. For the deceased, death appeared to them in whatever form they believed death should be. Some sat at distant family members. Others had seen the stereotype Grim Reaper. The options were endless. Constantine decided that having every crew member Reaper's Inc. and the Union Station crew see a different version of death would be very difficult for business. He made an executive decision. Being Death's right-hand man, or more specifically, right-hand cat, gave him the authority for such things. Maybe it was his 5,000-year-old life that gave Constantine wisdom and insight into the human condition. Constantine's suggestion was simple. Death will appear to the Reaper's crew, and everyone that worked with them at the Union Station, as the version Isis saw. The version was a tall, beautiful woman with silky black hair and caramel complexion. It minimized confusion, and new crew members instantly recognized the ultimate boss. Did you see anyone? Bob glanced around the area. If someone was here, they were long gone by the time I arrived, Death announced. It's that situation. Meaning they left this poor boy to die alone. Death followed, placing a knee on the ground. You sure you want to get that suit dirty? Bob teased as he eyed the white Prada suit Death wore that evening. If it doesn't get dirty, I don't have a reason to change it, Death replied with a wink. Do you need a reason? I figure you should enjoy modeling the latest outfit of each runway. Bob had to admit Death's style was impressive. If fashion designers ever needed a model, they should consult the Horseman. Not at all, but it makes the style less shallow. Death leaned over in Bob's direction. By the way, what are you looking for? No idea, Bob admitted. Footprints, trash, a note, you name it. I'm looking for a reason why a chef to die in my part. Does the passing of a soul need a reason? Death asked, in a more solemn tone. Not always, Bob glanced towards Death. But I have a hard time believing this kid had a heart attack while laying in the park with his pants down. Death patted him on the shoulder and stood. Never stop asking why, Bob. Things are never as simple as they seem. Keep you posted on what you find. Leaving so soon? Bob asked. Crawling around looking for prints sounds like an intern's work. Death replied. I have a meeting with Pestilence that I should be fairly late for by now. Death smiled and Bob saluted his boss. As she disappeared, Bob turned back towards the body and cautiously searched the pockets of the pants. You found a cell phone? And a can of dip. Who are you, my friend? Bob asked the body. This way, Miguel said to the new rivals. Bob glanced to see TJ and Triple Three rushing behind the officer, both wearing Reaper's EMT uniforms, black cargo pants, combat boots, and long sleeve hoodies with their logo. Uniforms were a recent addition to the team. The only difference between the EMT uniforms and the rest of the crew was the symbol of the two snakes twisting up of the staff at the front. Good evening, gentlemen. Bob greeted them, standing up. TJ and Triple Three stopped in front of the body and saluted Bob. Good evening, boss. They said in unison. I'm going to kill Pete for drilling that into all of you. Bob informed them. Triple T giggled, but TJ shifted uncomfortably. You're the boss, Triple Three said. People need to know and respect that. Right. Bob waved a hand at them. Relax now. Pete, the Pitsy, had taken over the training for all the recruits of the station. The training, now borderline in military precision, Bob enjoyed the discipline the team had, but the layers of formality were driving him nuts. Granted, Finding that was the lost cause. Constantine encouraged the behavior. Hard to buy when the second in command approves of the madness. You ready for us? TJ asked. As ready as I will be, Bob admitted. I need to know the cause of death and time. At least he went happy, Triple Three said, examining the man. That's one way to put it. Bob shook his head. TJ, are you okay? TJ blinked several times, then focused back on Job. Yeah, I knew him. Bob and Triple Three stood still, watching TJ. Sorry, man. Triple Three patted TJ's shoulders. We weren't close. His family moved to Haven a few years ago, and we're starting over with a new path. He was a good kid. At least that's what I heard. Do you need a minute? Bob asked. TJ shook his head. No, I'm good. First solo mission without Duck. First dead body? Triple Three added. The job is hard, Bob told them. Don't take this home. We have resources. Make sure it's debrief. Yes, sir. Have Doc send me a report as soon as possible, Bob continued in his business tone. Going to be tough. Going to be tough, boss, Triple Three informed him. The weekend has been a while, and we still have tomorrow to deal with. Halloween in Haven is becoming the new attraction, said TJ. They need to go back to Salem with all their partying. Bob tried to keep his annoyance out of his boss. We're still in the Bible Belt with too many humans who don't know about the supernatural. I would like to keep the madness at a minimum. We're losing that battle, Triple Three said. That's my fear. Bob handed the headphones and dipped to TJ. Let me know as soon as you find as possible. Glad you finally joined us. It pays better than the restaurant, said TJ with a genuine smile. TJ had been a friend of the Reapers community for years. He even went so far as trying to date Isis once. That didn't end well when he failed to share with her that he was a shifter. They were friends again, but any romantic possibility went out the door. It taken him a few years to decide he wanted to do more with his life. A few night classes had opened the doors to become an EMT. Bob jumped at the chance to hire him as soon as he graduated. Vicious scenes and dead bodies were part of the job of working with death, but Bob wished TJ's first mission alone wasn't the person he knew. Then again, he lived in Haven as well. Many of the people who was Steve were people he knew. At least TJ and Triple Three with him. It was too late to remedy Shorty's horrible naming practice. Triple Three was not a triplet at all. He only his only crime was being best friends with two other people who all had the same name. Now they were the triplets, and nobody even knew the real names. I really hate Halloween, Bob told himself as he reached his truck. That was chapter 2 on Cursed by Fur. So a little less, obviously, sex scenes. The dead body still has a heart on. We haven't figured out. Bob has not figured out what possibly kill him. The team's going to try to investigate. Nikita's going to go on her rampage. So usual, murder mystery kind of thing. Except this one, you actually get to see the perspective of Nikita. So it's kind of one of the fun twists is you get to see or hear her thoughts and what she's trying to do and why she doesn't. The boys honestly don't care. They just want this to stop. They have enough issues trying to run a city, and more important, trying to run the only supernatural community in the world. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Will you pick up Cursed by Fur? Super fun book, super excited. Lots of action. One of the things you will find out is you get a lot of the supernatural community. So a lot of this takes place from the perspective of the Haven team. So I guess there's not a lot of humans that you get to see interaction since they're trying to question and who killed the shifter. So this is a fractured fairy tale of Little Red Riding Hood. I hope you guys enjoyed it. So it is Saturday night, my friends. Go have a blast. Cheers to everyone. Enjoy some juice. Enjoy some amazing things. And I will see you guys again next week. And I don't know, we might pick a different book. I haven't figured out what we're going to do. I will be in Baytown, Texas for Eastern Rim. So we have an event coming up. So if you're in the Baytown area, stop by and say hi. It's going to be fabulously amazing. So thank you, everyone. Mwah. Sending you guys all my love and hope you guys are staying safe. Bye.